the confidence level of, if I bring this forward, what will happen? Will it be addressed? Will I be retaliated against? Where do I go with this? In the past has been less than desirable.
And that's Republican State Representative Kelly Townsend sharing her concerns about reporting the sexual harassment she says she's faced in the past. Now Townsend says she is encouraged by new steps House Speaker J.D. Mesnard is taking, as a half-dozen women step forward alleging they were harassed by Republican State Representative Don Shooter of Yuma. And House Speaker Mesnard joining us this morning. Good to see you again.
Good to be with you, Brian.
So I was noticing this. You are 37 now. You've spent your entire work life at the legislature.
Yeah.
15 years. Were you aware of sexual harassment allegations?
I don't think so.
Time?
No.
Not at all.
I mean, here's what I think. I think that we're becoming more aware of maybe what in the past was accepted, or people rolled their eyes, or just, tolerated. And I think there's growing awareness that it shouldn't have to be tolerated, and that we need to crack down on any form of harassment. And so I think whether you're talking state capitals or Hollywood, it's happening across the country. It's probably a social or cultural issue that we need to confront. And I hope at the end of the day it leads to a more positive outcome on understanding what is appropriate in the workplace.
So you are confronting it now. Last week you rolled out a bipartisan investigative team to look into the allegations. Interesting, this is not a committee of legislators.
No,
these are staffers, these are bipartisan
attorneys
staffers,
mostly, yeah.
Attorneys from both sides. Is this team permanent? Is this going to be a standing committee?
It could be. The process that we have in place, which comes from our harassment manual, essentially, outlines setting up a committee. It doesn't specify that it has to be the same committee, but the folks that we chose are pretty good. So I suspect that moving forward, it'll be something that's very similar to the current composition.
And what are they looking at right now? Which allegations are they looking at?
All of them. So anytime any allegation by any member or anybody from the public against a member comes forward, we're going to investigate it. And, I should say they're going to investigate it. I'm not directly involved. It's going to be a fact-finding mission. They're going to try to bring to light what's true and not true, sift through the allegations, and then based on their findings, we'd go to the next steps.
And when you say all of them, are you referring to the allegations against Don Shooter, the ones that have been out in the media, plus Kelly Townsend saying other unnamed lawmakers?
Absolutely. Those will be included. And anything that comes forward against any lawmaker, regardless of where it's coming from, alleging a harassment situation, we will investigate.
Do you expect more allegations now that the dam has broken?
I'm finding out about a lot of them through the media, so anything is possible, and as we find out more, we will respond appropriately.
Now, what about privacy? Many people have expressed concern about privacy, both people who are accused and people who make the allegations. How's that going to work?
That's a great question. We're still working through that. I've had at times folks come to me and say, this was said that maybe was inappropriate, but I don't want you to do anything. This is just between us so that you're aware. That can be frustrating. Other times they'll come and say, hey, let's go talk to that individual and handle it more privately. We're public officials, so it's a weird dynamic where oftentimes folks will be encouraged to come forward if it's not going to be public, and I want them to be encouraged to come forward. But at the same time, sometimes you got to bring those things to light so that there can be change. So we're still working through exactly what that looks like.
So you don't know yet if anything, is going to be kept private during this process?
In the beginning, everything will be kept private. That's partly why we have so many attorneys involved. Even they disagree among themselves as to how public something could become. We're going to go at it from a confidentiality standpoint and take it step by step and case by case.
Will accusers' names be kept private from the people they're accusing? Because there's a whole question about retaliation in a political world where every single representative is a free agent.
Yeah, I think to the extent that a lot of this is happening in the media and names are being put forward in the media, so they're already public. So to that extent, they'll be public. If other names are brought up privately, I think they'll remain private, at least initially. And my attorneys don't necessarily agree among themselves. I'm going to defer to sort of their consensus whenever they get one.
And ultimately, who decides what any punishment would be?
Ultimately, that's a decision of the entire chamber. That's not even something I can decide by myself. The Constitution does give the legislature in each chamber of the legislature certain powers to punish or respond to inappropriate behavior. It's quite a continuum of possibilities, so it's really going to be a function of the body's decision. All
right. House Speaker J.D. Mesnard, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Brown.
And I do want to get in Don Shooter's response to the allegations against him. Shooter initially said fellow Republican lawmaker Michelle Ugenti-Rita was lying about his alleged sexual harassment. He then brought up her own history, alleging she had an affair with a House staffer. The next day, a half dozen more women accused Shooter of harassment. Shooter commented through his lawyer with this statement, quote, "I requested an investigation by the House, which is now underway. Therefore, I am unable to comment further, except to provide my full support and cooperation."